Hey, what's up, everybody? Maik Wiedenbach here. I hope you all voted. So, last week was the week from hell. I mean, I had to go to the dentist, cardiologist, got an endoscopy, and to top things off, I have an 8-hour nosebleed on Friday, which required me to go to the hospital. And I almost bled out, so anyways, this is hopefully over. And let's talk about training for fat loss, because that seems to be somewhat of like a unicorn. Like nobody really knows, what is to be done. So training for fat loss, let's look into it. So how does fat loss occur? Well, fat loss occurs whenever adrenaline or norepinephrine goes up and basically signals the body to release free fatty acids into the bloodstream. And if there's a caloric deficit, they won't be replenished, all right? So you can already see where I'm going with this. So the adrenaline or epinephrine can be released through shivering, sex, any type of exercise, right? But what does this mean for the weight room? So does the training change? And I think that's where there's a fundamental problem that people don't understand. Better sit down for this one. When you're training for fat loss, the job of training is not to burn calories. What? But what is it? The job of training is to keep the muscle mass. Why? Because your body is in the ice age. It thinks in terms of evolution, not aesthetics. So here's the thing. Think of your body as a company. Now, out of a sudden, there's less money coming in, aka fewer calories, right? What does the company do? The company cuts all branches that don't make money, right? In your case, that's your muscles, because your muscles cost energy, but they don't provide any. They're luxury, which is why runners have no muscle mass up here, because they don't need it. So you have to convince your body to keep the quote-unquote underperforming branches or subsidies on, right? That's the job of the training. So why is that? That's what we don't understand. So this whole lower reps burn more calories, that's total nonsense. The amount of calories burned differs so minimally. So right now I'm trying to get very, very lean. How does my training differ? It only differs in the sense that I try to create maximum tension on each rep and each exercise. Because the more muscular work I do, the more my body will be inclined to keep the muscle mass. The sloppier I do it, it will get rid of it. Now, where does this high rep burning fat nonsense come from? My best guess is that, once again, the fitness industry fooled everybody. So they're putting a really jacked guy into the cable cross doing 20 reps or whatever. And people are like, aha, see, he's doing high reps, that must. So, and we talked about this before, there are no muscle building or fat burning exercises. Because imagine what you're saying. So if you're saying this exercise is muscle mass building, that would require your muscle to have eyes and intelligence and somehow the means to get extra calories to get bigger, right? So it's like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm gonna get food and put it here all by myself without Mike giving me food, right? So you see the idiocy. So there's no such thing. Now, what I would recommend when trying to get leaner, go with the exercises that you can perform really, really well. Because chances are you're gonna have less energy, right? And the less energy you have, the fewer sets and reps you can do. So whatever you want to do, you should do really, really well, if that makes sense, right? So whatever exercise it is, like we talked about yesterday, like adducting here and getting the squeeze, whatever you can do, that's what you're doing, okay? What about cardio? Cardio is not the magic fat loss bullet that people think it is. It is simply a tool to expand more calories because you can only do so much weightlifting. But as a fat loss tool, I would give it a C+. Why? Because humans get better quickly. We adapt. So, I mean, there's no marathon, but I could show you plenty of marathon runners who are chubby and they can run the marathon, right? So they do lots of cardio, but because the body has gotten good at it, meaning the first time you ever run a mile, you maybe burn like 600 calories, let's say. And then the second time you burn, and so on and so forth. So you gotta run one more. So like, it's always like, I take the bike to work, and it's good for my head, for my anxiety, but there's no major fat loss occurring, right? It helps a little bit. You must be in a caloric deficit. People would rather sell their firstborn than acknowledge that. They're like, well, if I do fat burning exercises and take this, stop. It's not gonna work. Stop being lazy, take accountability, and go into a deficit. If you're not in a deficit, you will simply not lose weight. Be like, oh, maybe I'm gaining muscle. Well, maybe, but probably not, okay? So the caloric deficit, how steep should it be? Well, that depends. Like, how close is your goal? How much do you have to lose? In general, I always tell people to diet longer. Simply because it's more sustainable, it's somewhat easier, and it's healthier. So no matter how heavy you are, you should not be losing more than 1% body weight a week, right? So like you weigh 100 kilos, 200 pounds, 2 pounds, 1 kilo. So, but what about somebody who's really heavy? Shouldn't this guy diet really hard? No, he should not. Because somebody who's really heavy or who's really unhealthy, if he's gonna be that heavy another week or two, that's gonna be okay. But if he crash diets and yo-yos back up, that's gonna be a problem. So whenever people come to me and say like, Mike, I wanna be X% by whatever, March, right? I say, add 4 to 5 weeks to that to be on the safe side. Give yourself time to get lean because then it will stay off. So generally speaking, whatever time you carried that fat, it will take 10% of that time to take it off in a way that's sustainable, okay? So let's summarize. Training for fat loss does not differ than training for mass, with the exception that you probably do a little bit less volume due to fatigue. You must be in a caloric deficit. Cardio is not the saving grace, you know, and you must be realistic. So like if you're dropping 1% a week, you're doing great. Anything more drastic, I would not recommend at all, okay? And let's hope everything stays peaceful today and so on and so forth. My dad was telling me like, yo, there might be riots in New York, I saw, are you going out? I'm like, Dad, first of all, there's not gonna be any riots. And secondly, if you're a rioter, and you see me, are you gonna be like, I'm picking on that guy? Or are you gonna be like, oh, I'm letting this guy go? So anyways, let's hope for the best, guys. And I'll see you probably Thursday, okay? Maik out.